What is happening, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Thanks for joining us for another Church of True Christ Sunday sermon. The vibes are great this morning, and we have a lot of really cool things we're going to be touching on today and diving into. But nonetheless, join us for the Our Father prayer, direct from Aramaic translation. If you don't mind bowing your heads, and we will get started. O birther, father, mother of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. Focus your light within us, make it useful as the rays of a beacon show the way. Unite our eye candy yours, so that we walk as kings and queens with every creature. Create in me divine cooperation from many selves, one voice, one action. Grant what we need each day in bread and insight. Forgive our hidden past, the secret shames, as we consistently forgive what others hide. Deceive neither by the outer nor the inner. Free us to walk your path with joy. From you is born all ruling will, the power and life to do. The song that beautifies all, from age to age, it renews. Amen. All right, guys. So one of the topics that's been coming up a lot is stepping into your power. And this has actually been something that has been a current lesson that myself, I'm experiencing on many different levels in my life. It seems that there are some individuals in our community that don't truly have the clear understanding of what it means to step into your power fully. I feel like there's a little bit of fear when it comes to acknowledging how much power we really have. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this with the energetic interference aspect of this episode. But one of the things I want to talk about first is why you shouldn't fear your power and how to condition yourselves to step into this power that you have fully. And that's why we do the healing work, guys. This is why we do our integration and we work on our internal space. Because through this is going to condition you to step into your power with that kind of responsibility. And I think this is where we have the disconnect that we currently experience, is a lot of people are trying to step into that power without doing the healing, or from doing the healing, people are unsure about stepping into their power. So Diana, let's hear your thoughts on this, because I've heard you talk about this quite a bit as well, especially in a lot of your episodes. So if you don't mind, let's start off with you and let's get your thoughts on what it truly means to step into your power. Oh, I think she's frozen. All right, Don, let's hop to you first real quick. And your what does it mean to step into your power?
Well, for me,
you're back. Okay,
back.
Cool. Here
I
we
just
go.
got back. I was like, is it me? No, go ahead, Don. Sorry.
Well, go ahead, Diana. I'm still processing what I'm going to say anyway, so go right on ahead.
Oh, good, because I had something, because I was like stuck in that meditation because I was being shown a thing. Oh,
wow. Well, why don't you touch on that real quick? What were you being shown? What's going on?
I was doing like a perimeter check. I was doing a perimeter check because I was, energy field aligning, and it started to just automatically, and I realized it was doing a perimeter check, and it found a block. And then it just opened an epiphany for exactly why people don't step into their power. And it all is these constant internal battles with blocks. And it's little step at a time. And we talk about the ego, and the reason why the ego, that's just like layer one. Because if you don't get rid of the ego, you're not going to see all these varied blocks. And we talk about things like improving your diet and your ways of thinking and your ways of being and your ways of speaking, because these are all part of re-alchemizing a brand new self. But along the way, all those things you give up of the past. So for me, like alcohol, even the way I spoke, in the way I interact with people, in the way I listen to people, like the change of self that happens in this process is not to be understated. So when it comes to stepping into your own power, it's simply knowing you can do it. Whatever the thing is it the way you speak? Is it something you're doing? Is it smoking or drinking or whatever the thing is you want to give up that you feel like is standing in the way of a better you? that block is also going, because like imagine it like an actual mass in your auric field, because it is. And the longer it's there and the more powerful reason it is there is how many entities are going to exist and swarm around it, how many mind stories you have built in, structured in your brain over this said topic. So when it comes to like disintegrating our blocks, using our sovereign power to step forward, it's so many varied nuances that we do just need to constantly be our own therapist. Check the perimeter of the self. Ask yourself, if you're not happy with your life, why? What if you want to be a certain thing or act a certain way or have a certain lifestyle? What's in the way? And it can just come down to our own thoughts, like especially with money, right? Because you could think of a lot of good reasons that aren't your fault that you don't have money. But what are your thoughts on money? Did you have money grows on tree or money doesn't grow on tree? I tell myself money does grow on trees, because it does. And it's a made up energy source. So you can use your own energy to generate more, and just many things like that. But like, you have to be honest with the self, find the blocks, and then go through that process. And that's the painful dark nights of the souls and things like that. So it's a lot, but you can do it.
Don, what are your thoughts?
I actually just want to touch on what she just ended on there too, because that was, like we all know, words are spells, and what you say is what you're going to create. And, you know, your frequency that you expel out of your mouth affects everything in your reality. And one of the things, it was almost like when my family used to tell me I was accident prone, and I swear I get physically hurt once a year fairly badly. And it's just, it's changing the verbiage. Another one, exactly, this was the point to what she was talking about. I always said this in my head, I've always been poor. Well, I'm not anymore, right? I make a decent living. I have a nice truck in the laneway. Like, we pay our bills on time. We don't look at like what groceries cost anymore because we're there financially. And it's a correction that I've had to make in the spelling that I've been casting on myself and my own family, because like it got to the point where we would save $1,000, and because we were so afraid to spend that money, something terrible would happen. Like the stupid shifter knob on our truck broke, and it's just a button, like a freaking stereo button, but it's your shifter. It broke, and it cost exactly what we had saved because we were afraid of the money. We were like, oh my God, we have $1,000. What the hell? We're getting there. And we jinxed ourselves because, you know, we've always been poor. So there is that absolute verbiage that is a catalyst to a lot of your power. And what I'm getting at there too brings me to my main point is, I think what I've learned recently about stepping into my power is acknowledging your little miracles that you help to create, right? Even the tiniest little thing, like, hey, I didn't step in that puddle, right on, right? You know, the tires on my truck aren't flat. Acknowledging the things that the universe is doing for you and that you're co-creating allows the universe to give you more of that productive and creative energy. It really is a cyclical flow. And once you start opening up that dam and allowing that energy to push through, it just comes in more and more. Our entire family has adopted the phrase, it just popped in my head the one day, how fortuitous. When something great happens, we acknowledge that little miracle with how fortuitous, and I shit you not, it just keeps coming. Right? I had to go exchange Williams double kick. We got a better, higher quality double kick that came from a professional that's like stage ready. It was like 30% less and lower payments. And I got him some new equipment on top of that to add to his drum kit. How fortuitous. And the good shit just kept coming that day. It really does work. It's about acknowledging what you're doing and displaying your power and your co-creation with the universe.
Excellent points, you two. I really dig that. For me, too, it also means in every single action, every single thought, every single intention that you put forth into this creation is an alignment with the divine and Christ. That is from within. That in and of itself is standing into your own power in my eyes as well, because at that point you are channeling the very essence and the very nature of who you truly are and what you truly are into this existence. without fail, no holes barred. And of course, I really like the how fortuitous thing. And kind of touching on what Diana was talking about, one thing we become, I think a lot of us unintentionally become attached to, is the toxicity and the old ways that stop us from truly stepping into that power of ours. Because we've begun to find comfort, or we used to find comfort, I should say, in these old behavior patterns, in these old people, in these old places. They have that sense of nostalgia and familiarity, but those things are ultimately going to stop us from stepping into our power fully. Because think of them as carrying a sack full of weight into this new frequency that you're trying to step into. You can't be in a lighter frequency. You can't be in an elevated frequency if you're dragging these giant sandbags behind you, or you're rucking it into the new earth frequency with like 150 pounds on your back, or things like that. So one of the biggest things we have to do in order to step into our power fully is to be honest with ourselves, and to sever those ties, and to release the attachment to either these toxic behaviors that we have, these toxic people that we keep affiliating with, or these toxic places. The places can take on the energy of toxicity as well, depending on what happens in said place. So this is something to consider as well when it comes to stepping into your power. And also, it's removing the fear, guys. I know when we step into this, a lot of this, I say this constantly, it seems like to be something I hit the point home on all the time with now. But yes, we are in very unknown, uncharted, and strange territory for this batch of humanity. And I think truly standing into your power and stepping into your power is looking at the face of this unknown, uncharted, and strange territory, and smiling and walking right into it. It's a lot of it is about removing fear. A lot of it is about understanding that you have this trait, this trust, and this faith in the unknown that you are going to be walking into. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, exactly that. And like the unknown, like you can create connections and relationships. Like it's a growing transitional process. And you're like blind to the end goal, but you're not blind to the short-term goals, because this is how the guides work. No time and space. So they can give you a sense of the future, but what they can really prime at doing is the immediate step, like the next hour, the next minute. Like I used to really stress about getting ready for shows, because this is the front room of the house. It's actually, knock on wood, they've been leaving it alone lately, but once upon a time I had to reset it up. It was a whole thing. But I've been staying, because I know stay in divine alignment, but you continue to increase your areas where you learn to use it. And that was like a new one for me. So I stayed in divine alignment. I set a time exactly when I start to get ready, because there's a whole girl need to get ready too. And then this area just has been, oh my God, please knock on wood, but like it's been staying good. And this computer desk is used for like the autistic one knocks liquid all over this place all the time. So I have to clean this area. He runs me out of mouses. He runs me out of keyboards. Like so many things happens in the realm of what to do with so many different variations. And this is just my current journey. So it's an up-to-date one. I could give you the sadder old ones, but like they change. Just so you know, it's not just the sad old ones. I used to have sad old ones, but I listened to the lessons, and I listened to the lessons, and I listened to the lessons. And now it's perfecting in just ways to keep the office functional. And hopefully soon I'll get the internet working. Like it's just these continuous processes, but you listen. And this is like, I'm really trying to listen to what is up with the internet. And honestly, I think they want us to go put it up there ourselves, because Starlink is not in this blah, 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 right? We have these reasons, we have these journeys. Why can't you quit smoking? I am addicted. I can't go without it. I'm not strong enough. I really need it. And like, it's just letting go of the mind story. So this is like Stephen says fear. And that's so exactly what that is. This is when we hear about fear impulses, because they're entire layers of reality that are over top of us right now. And the doom imprint, which mixes in with the fear one, and ancestral traumas and abuses, these things all take their toll and weave together dark fabrics that live over top of us. But we are so very powerful that if you just stay true and you listen to what comes next and what comes next and what comes next, the instructions never stop. And you have to, like, I was even at the point where, because I was a blamer, and I learned to stop blaming others. but then I blame them. I'm like, oh, you gave me bad advice. Like, it was ridiculous. And Kirsten's talking about fighting with them herself. Like, we're like always going to try to look elsewhere for the blame, even if we blame ourselves, but in a poor me way. I'm just not capable of it, because I used to do that too. Yes, you are. And that cycle of self-blaming is the same thing as just blaming somebody else, and it's going to be creating negative feedback. So like, there's so many things in this world, and it's very, very possible. And there's voices that are always trying to trick you into thinking you're not doing anything. But I assure you, you are. If you're here still watching this video, you're in it. So just keep going.
Dig it. Don, what about you, man? What do you got to say?
I absolutely agree with what you guys are saying. And it just really brings home the point of one of the best ways to step into your power and be able to do these things is deprogramming your negative self-talk and your negative behaviors. Like you were saying, Stephen, about the negative places we go and the negative behaviors we keep, because it really no longer serves you in this reality to keep repeating those cycles. And that's something I was talking about, is I even get like phantom somatic responses from things that are no longer a trauma, but biologically I react to them the same way. Like, oh my God, I had to turn back and go 2 minutes to do that. And I'll get this sick feeling like, oh crap, I just wasted 2 minutes of my life. But if I didn't go double check what I just did, then I'm going to get a 15-20 minute lecture from my boss and probably screamed at, which is going to make me feel even worse. Like it really is. We've been programmed to be horrified of our reality so much that you have to pay attention to everything your body's telling you. And if you can't find a justifiable cause for why you feel that way, then it's no longer serving you. It's just pre-existing programming. It's just a phantom algorithm that you don't need. Right. And it's literally going through our own systems and like defragging ourselves. Right. Because you have to go through and find out what's crap and what is still like base programming that we do require in this reality. But a lot of it, it's just junk.
Mm-hmm.
I would completely agree. And so I'm going to bring up a video I was watching this morning about this very topic, because, we talk about undoing these destructive behaviors and these destructive thoughts, and, whether it be through people or places as well. So I was actually watching a video this morning about a archetype that exists in our collective consciousness. And of course, as DNA creates the body, archetypes create the mind. So when we kind of, walk forth with this understanding and we hold this in our awareness, we can see how this ties in. So in this video, it was talking about the worm archetype. And the premise of this video was talking about how, we've had all of these transcendental experiences. We've had the ego death, we've done the healing. Why does it seem that we continuously fall back into these cycles, or we have a hard time breaking these destructive patterns and these destructive cycles, whether it be through self-sabotage, because that has to do with the worm archetype, the dopamine addictions, the not taking care of oneself the way that we should be. We know all of these apply when it comes to stepping into our power, but the way that we defeat this archetype is holding it in our awareness. Okay, constantly, no matter how painful it may be, no matter if it feels like we're ripping a 4-foot splinter out of ourselves. We know this is a makeup of the human collective consciousness. And it's funny that this is chosen for this, because when you look at a worm, and in the way they were describing this in the video, was it's in a loop. How many thought loops do we get caught in? Everything is cyclical with the destructive behavior. So it's up to us to break that loop, and ultimately what it comes down to, at least in my eyes, is having that absolute self-honesty and that awareness of what you're dealing with at this time, and knowing that you can move forward truly into stepping into your power once you say no to this loop. That is the simplest thing we can do to stop this from happening, is understand the pattern recognition of the behavior within ourselves. And then when we start to have this urge to move towards this, we say no. And this is how we sever the loop. And this is how we start to deconstruct this archetype. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd be fascinated to see the video, because Caroline Miss, who Dawn's new to, and she's one of my OGs. I absolutely love her. And she talks, and I mention them a lot, the 4 archetypes everybody has no matter what, because she talks about a set of 12, but occultism talks about 22, and it can get really open. But 4 that we're guaranteed to have. Saboteur. The saboteur is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the person that's in you to just self-sabotage you. They exist within you to sabotage you. And then she doesn't talk matrices and programs and things like that. She just talks this beautiful spirit way. But saboteur. And we also have the prostitute. So think about that, because the prostitute's more than sexual. It's anything you do that betrays yourself. So note how that goes hand in hand with a saboteur, right? I always forget the 4th, but the 3rd is the child. And then the child can have many variants, because there's the wounded child, the mystical child, and then you can have many of the child, but you're going to have children that are all the same child, and they can be good parts. So not all archetypes are bad, because you could have the divine child, right? The mystical child. These are all great, but there's the orphan, that's pretty dark. And then there's the wounded child, which I think a lot of us empaths would have the wounded child within us. And then if anyone remembers the 4th, let me know, because it matters to know these, because it helps with self-forgiveness. Because when you can know and hold that awareness, like what Stephen's saying, like keep that, know that you have that, because then when those thoughts, those mind stories come into your brain, you can have these new loaded programs that you use. Like think about how you fight a virus in your computer. You actually, sometimes you have to delete the whole system, but that's dying and being reborn. That's reincarnation. But like you can also load in a debugging program. And this is back from my PC days. This doesn't happen on Mac, lol. But you could load in a program that heals the computer itself, right? So that is loading in these awareness thoughts that I have the saboteur, I have the prostitute, and I have the child. And then there's a 4th. But these exist within me. And then you can start to discover the other ones, like the fancier ones, like the knight, the hero, the damsel. And they can get really fun, and Zeus and all the things. Like there's so many archetypes. The pirate is one that like you see coming online a lot now. She even talked of the fashionista being a brand new archetype. So we can make brand new archetypes and be a brand new person. So never feel like you're boxed in. And I do feel like I'm birthing like some weird new kinds of archetypes that I've never seen before, which are just coming online. Like, you know, in these, podcaster is going to be an archetype. You know what I mean? So we find our niches. And this is why I love astrology and human design, because when you break down the self and then Carl Jung yourself too, so you're also just looking within, you find all your things, and you can, remember in Minority Report, how they have the computer and they're doing this, right? You can do that with yourself by holding into awareness all your variables. And then when you're handed a situation, like, do I drive back 2 minutes or do I risk getting in trouble? You're like, actually getting in trouble is much worse than being 2 minutes late. And then you can even like keep progressing, and it just never ends. But the awareness is first and foremost.
Amazing. Don, what are your thoughts on the worm archetype?
I absolutely agree. And the JJ there in the audience actually made me wonder, does it have a parasitic nature to it? Because, you know, most often when we think of worm, that's where the mind kind of goes, right? And this is something, and I'm going to steal your catchphrase here, Stephen. It is something I have absolutely had half a butt cheek in lately, is this whole archetype structure in this reality. Like, I'm finding people, and I've showed you pictures, who are practically my doppelganger. You and I have a very strange spiritual fractal understanding that, and pretty much the exact same childhood. Like, there are archetypes all through this reality that, unless you're paying a lot of attention, which most of us don't have time to, you're not going to see it. So it's absolutely fascinating once you start picking these things out of our reality, how easy it is to see the programming, see the repetition, see the cycles, and then figure out how to get past them.
Interesting that you said that, because let's touch on as above, so below, because yes, we're talking about something symbolic here. And of course it has its literal counterpart. That's the way the divine works. That's the way this universe works. So yes, there has been a energetic tie between actual physical worms and the worm archetype playing itself out in your own subjective consciousness. And that is why self-care, number one, and getting rid of the process. I mean, I'm looking at what JJ is saying here also. I used to be 308 pounds, processed food every day for 33 years, addicted to opiates. Then I prayed and fasted for the first time in my life. It's not a Coinky Dink, they've removed Matthew 17:21 from Bibles. I'm gonna check out Matthew 17:21. That one is interesting. I want to get on that. But also too, what this reminds me of as well, I mean, since we're diving deep into Jung on this episode, is the Kabiri too. I mean, the Kabiri, for those of you who don't know who the Kabiri are, they are these 4 archetypal beings that actually instill the thought loops within us. So it's like part of me is wondering, if the Kabiri and the worm archetype are potentially feeding off of each other hand in hand, and getting us caught in these thought loops and back into these addictive behaviors. I mean, we could just speculate that all along. We know that everything comes from the all is mind. So we know there's definitely some kind of synergistic effect that could be working there. But, when we talk about the Kabiri as well, the Kabiri are what kind of imprison us, or we allow ourselves to be imprisoned in these thought loops. And they are the ones that actually build these prisons. So it's very interesting on how, we have this symbolic tie-in to actual physical parasitic worms. And then we also have different archetypes that kind of work in this field of inhibiting us from stepping into our power. And this is why I think awareness. We have to understand that we all definitely have these. Let's see what she was saying here for Matthew 17:21. Diana went ahead and posted. Found in some versions of the Bible states, however, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. That's interesting. Let's dive into that just for a little bit. It seems like we're going in some interesting directions today. But I know that you, Diana, have firsthand, you have faced some fire for talking about fasting. You've had post shadow ban, you've had YouTube. Have you had YouTube videos taken down? Why don't you enlighten everybody on it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I love fasting. I haven't been doing it this last year because the energies have extremely changed. But and there was a couple years there, like last, you can see the difference in my videos if you want to can tell when I'm fasting. The last year I was, for the whole year, for about 2, almost 3 years total, I was fasting a lot continuously. As soon as I started my good awakening, because I talk about that. So around the 2020, but I think it was around 2021 before I actually started fasting. Because it takes me a while to work up stuff. And it was amazing. And that's why a lot of the reason I was able to positively heal was fasting and dealing with gut bacteria. So like fasting, but then when you're eating probiotics, because I do think like the gut bacteria, this negative as within, so without, and this is just literally because that as within, so without is so many things. Like it can be used within everything because it's one of those mirrors you find within everything of this dualistic world, right? It's there on purpose. It's one of the laws of the universe. So it's fundamental, just like you can test anything for vibration. Everything has an as within and so without. So when it came to this, I realized that the parasites were like either the direct physical embodiment of the demons themselves. I've thought of this. Maybe sometimes, maybe always, or at the very least, they are an energetic anchor for literal demons to hold within you with a stronger stance. Because needless to say, when you clear up the gut bacteria, when you empty out that system, so many demons are just automatically gone. So many of your illnesses just automatically heal, like off the charts. It's literally miraculous. It's not nothing to get yourself to that place. I'll tell you, once you do get there, it's easier to stay there, much easier to stay in a fasting mentality. It's much easier to start with intermittent fasting and going like as long as possible. But yeah, I was banned from Twitter for a while, and I had videos on YouTube striked and removed. So it is a hot topic, like, because, health and actually healing yourself for free. Like, talk about the cheapest way to heal yourself. Just eat nothing. And then it opens up money for when you return and you want sauerkraut, kimchi. Like, there's so many things out there that can give you the advice. I went full gluten-free too, and I would recommend that. And dairy-free is at my best, but I struggle with dairy. I've no matter what, you hear me whining about my eating, I am gluten-free. Like that never ends, because that is so, like, if I accidentally whoopsie with that, I go back to fibromyalgia. Like our food is a minefield for us to be living within, and demons will take advantage of whatever they can take advantage of. So like demons existed before our food problem, and they'll like, as long as we're in this realm, like that's the whole point of raising vibration, is to get to realms where they won't exist, because their vibration is so low they can't get up there. That's like one of my main motivations behind my entire journey of raising my vibration, was to literally escape demons. Like I came from a very riddled family. It was my actual upbringing was all right because my dad kept us very safe. He was mean, I talk about, but he was actually very loving and kept us very safe. He was strict about it, but whoa. My mom's upbringing was catastrophic. Schizophrenia, like demons literally being a part of it, the darkest things you could ever imagine happening. And my dad had a very rough upbringing. So, I mean, he was more innocent, but like there was demons from my mom's side that are so, my God, that like had to be overcome. And I think a lot of us are coming out of this, like we're very new to be like, oh, you shouldn't beat and do naughty things to your children. Like what? Like we're not that long ago, it was en masse. So a lot of us are coming from these horrible situations. If it's not us, which is not me, luckily, it was still directly in my bloodline, and that's in your DNA. And even the alchemist herself just really, that was one of my biggest things in my early journey, was fix my DNA. And funny enough, the alchemist just brought that back on my forefront because she just did a video on it. I'm like, that was my mission. And somewhere along the line, I feel like I thought I got good enough and my DNA was fine. But the truth is, if it was, my internet would work properly. So
Awesome. Don, what are your thoughts on fasting too, man? I have a lot to say as well. So let's hear what you got to say.
This is actually a subject that I've done entire episodes on with the author Vicky Joy Anderson. She is somebody that I should put you guys in touch with, because if you want to jump down this rabbit hole, that is your lady, because she knows her stuff and actually comes at it from a very spiritual perspective as well. And she's the one who led me to realize that there was something wrong even with my own physiological self before I really changed my eating habits. Like I was getting a symptom, basically, like I would go from not hungry to nauseous hungry, like I'm going to vomit if I don't eat immediately. And when I was speaking to Vicky, she's like, likely a parasite inside of you starving, right? So I gave it a bit of a shot. I did a fast, and then I started a regimen of clove water after, right? And after I did this process, and this is not medical advice, this is just me sharing a story, right? I fasted for a day because I do drive for a living. I don't want to run into anybody because I'm not all there. But the regimen of clove water after really changed something in my internal biology and must have eliminated something, because I no longer get that nauseous, hungry feeling. Like it was strange. Like it was instantaneous, where I would be like, I'm not hungry. Oh my God, I'm so hungry, I'm going to throw up, right? There was something inside of me absolutely starving for junk food usually, right? But it really is a huge way to change your internal DNA and change your health overall, is that fasting. And I don't doubt, after, like I said, the long conversations I've had with Vicky, who I would consider a spiritual researcher, there is absolutely a correlation between physical parasites and spiritual parasites.
Oh, 100%. As above, so below, as within, so without, as Diana was saying. And, symbolism, for every symbolic thing, we have a literal counterpart. I think one of the benefits of fasting too, that it doesn't get overlooked, but I think it's not talked about enough, is when you are in a fasted state, you're allowing the divine light of Christ into you a lot more. And so what are the things that weigh us into this reality? The things that we need? We have the breath, right? Yes, we need to breathe here in order to exist here. And then we have water. Yes, we need to drink water in order to survive. We have to stay hydrated in these physical vessels to continue our temporary human experience in here. And what's the third one? Food. Okay, food, water, and breath are the three things that keep us going here. So when we go a period of time with eliminating food, whether it be one day, whether it be 24 hours, whether it be 48, 72. I know people who have gone on week-long fasts, and I want to give a shout out to them, because that's some intense stuff right there. But what you're doing in this is you're removing one of the three foundational things that attaches you to the physical realm. So, and when you remove this thing, now there are some people I know too who have gone no water, no food, for a certain period of time as well. So now we're removing two of the things that attach you to this physical realm. And what this ends up doing, by default, again, guys, we have an increase in frequency. You know what I mean? Because we've now removed these two things that are keeping us tied to the physical plane for a temporary amount of time. And at this point, the divine frequency is going to radiate more within us too. So this is a benefit of fasting as well. That's why people have had very transcendental experiences through fasting and meditation. They have connected and had these remembrances and these realizations in this fasted state, because you have to look. I mean, you both brought up the point. Look at the food. Look at I mean, especially the food that's advertised to us. Look at how heavy and dense it all is. You know what I mean? It comes with that dense frequency. We have to look at food as information. What kind of information are we trying to receive? Are we trying to receive this information that's very low and dense? Or are we going to receive this information that's going to be elevating? It's going to be light. It's going to help us in our soul's evolution. So this in and of itself, is a backbone to fasting as well. And I think it's another reason why, because people they do have these experiences. They will have these very transcendental experiences while fasting. And I mean, especially when it comes to getting rid of these parasites. So, that's another thing as well. Like you were saying, Don, like you would have this hunger pang, almost like this shot, like you'd go from not hungry to being extremely hungry and craving a specific thing. And that's where also too, I'm going to say things like sauerkraut, Diana, they will help rid one of the biggest things a lot of people need to get on with, at least in my opinion, is just correcting your gut bacteria is going to rid you of a lot of parasites. That's the number one thing. So, people, you don't have to go through these extraordinary measures at first. I mean, obviously, if you dive into this a little bit more and you're still having these issues, then you can go to I've heard stories of people taking drops of turpentine to remove some of these parasites out of their system as well, which I don't know if I've never gone down that road. I know people who have. I had one guy reach out to me, told me he's done this, but nonetheless, guys, fasting, at least for me, I still intermittent fast. I don't intermittent fast as long. I'm kind of with Diana on this as well, because the energies this past year have been requiring me to eat a little bit more. It's just what it is. It's this integration. But, this also instills a mental discipline. So when we're talking about destroying this impulsive behavior, of course, there has to be some kind of mental discipline, that ability to say no. And also what fasting does for you as well is it builds a better relationship with food. You build a better relationship with the information that you intake through fasting. You realize that food is here to sustain me. It's here to give me energy. Okay. It's here to make me healthy. It's not all about pleasure. Of course, yes, you can have these moments in between of where you do eat for pleasure, but you have to keep those as special occasions. So, I just wanted to say really great stuff. What are everybody's thoughts?
Absolutely. Agree completely. And then there's the addition too of sugar. So, because fasting, like you don't have to fast, you can just do it the other way. But I like the dramatic way. And I was trying just the health way first, because fasting is not nothing. But at the same time, so if you've ever fasted from sugar, it's really close to the same pain. So even if you were eating, but not eating sugar, you're in for the same pain. So you already know what it's like. And the hunger pains you actually get over really easily. One way I did it early on was drinking broth. So just drink broth, and then chocolate almond milk I did for one of the times to like help just give me that, feel like I was doing. It helps you when you go liquid first, put it that way. It's like a good starting point, because usually I've never done no water, and I've done 3 days are my max that I used to do. I used to do 3 days, and I did a lot of 24 hours. Because that just became easy to do 24 hours. I'd usually do like 1 day a week where I did 24 hours. And then at least once a month, I'd do 3 days kind of thing there for years. And it did a lot of good. I was a very sick person. Like I talk about that a lot. And I say like, oh, spiritually healing, fixed me. But there's actually like implemented regimes that were part of that. It was spiritually evolving that gave me that divine sense of self to give myself the energy to actually heal me, because a lot of us come from places. The victim was the archetype that I was missing, because we poor me, right? Like eating a bag of chips, poor me, fuck me, and just like eat them. Life sucks. I might as well, like I was there. That can do that. You can still take that same bag of chips though and switch it to be a treat sometimes, or a comfort sometimes, because I've done that. So I still do sometimes eat chips. It's not like they're gone forever. But what Stephen was saying, you change your relationship with them, and you change, like now I eat kettle chips. So it's like, you still, I haven't touched a Dorito in years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyways, but you don't, you change your standards, you cook for yourself more. Like we are really getting programmed. This is really recent onto our current, like Gen X and under generations of fast food, right? Because especially like I know as a millennial, like, dude, fast food was everything. The second I got a job, I started gaining weight because I was like, ooh, McDonald's. And like, it doesn't, well, not like I gained a ton of weight because I was very aware of it, but like I would just eat less McDonald's, but I still wouldn't put in vegetables into the regime, So like we have a very twisted relationship with food, extremely. And fasting will reset that for you. And it makes you feel like a warrior. So it helps you overcome the victim archetype. We all have the victim. It's part of us. It's saboteur, child, and prostitute. Think about it. Betraying yourself with food. These can all be seen as one thing, just different flavors of the same thing that we have within us. It could be the lizard brain. You know what I mean? Like these things we have within us, and it's okay, but we do need to make logical fixes. Like hopefully healthy fast food. I would be like that's what I'm trying to manifest, like healthy fast food. I don't want to cook either, but like we need to do what our body needs us to do.
Awesome. I want to address a comment from Kyle real quick. And I'm going to give Kyle one of my best secrets here too. So as a fellow poor whose diet mostly consists of stuff from the food bank, I unfortunately don't have a lot of freedom in my diet. My friend, I have some great news for you. I have a little bit of a hack for you here. So I'm not saying don't go to your food bank, but one of the best secrets that's kept when it comes to getting quality food at a good price, Asian grocery stores. My friend, Asian grocery stores. Yes, you will go to a, I don't know if you have an H Mart or a Hanaro Foods near you where you're at. They have many different branches, but I'm going to tell you something, guys. You go to these Asian grocery stores, the produce, you're going to be paying a lot less for it. It's beautiful produce. It looks great. It tastes great. It's all natural produce as well. And the meats there that you're going to get as well are going to be high quality, and you're not going to be breaking the bank for the meat. At the Asian grocery store I go to, I get A5 Wagyu short ribs for $15 a pound, which is pretty unheard of when you go to any kind of other grocery store, because we're talking Wagyu, the cream of the crop when it comes to beef. But no, that's one of the best kept secrets, Kyle. And also too, when you're at the food bank, I know, because I've volunteered for food banks before, and I know there's a combination of stuff. You're going to get the non-perishable goods, and you're going to get the perishable goods. So make sure you get as many vegetables as you possibly can, vegetable, fruits, whole foods, and the non-perishable goods that you get, man, kind of scan the ingredients on them, just try to find the ones that have the most minimal amount of ingredients. And I know when it comes to non-perishables, that can be tough, but there are ones out there. I'm going to tell you this. There is stuff out there that isn't heavy on the preservatives, isn't heavy on the seed oils, isn't heavy on all of the stuff that can contribute to the poor gut health. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you, my friend. So Don, what are your thoughts on this as well, man?
Actually, I do want to touch on what you were just talking about with Kyle and Lonnie from my work. Just threw something in the chat that Sikh temples are also a good spot to get a nourishing meal, and you'll meet some nice people. Everybody from everywhere else is always bad, and I've met some very, very embracing and nice Sikh people in my travels. And another one that I've had to use in my own experience with homelessness and poverty is the soup kitchens. You're going to get a nourishing meal, and there is no shame when you need help and you need something healthy to eat. don't think of lowering your head. You're going in just as much. I've seen people going in there that are doing a lot better than even I am. And we're all a little short right now. And if you need a healthy meal, look for the alternatives. Look for the Sikh temples, the soup kitchens, the places where you can go get a hot meal if you absolutely need one and can't find nutrition, right? Volunteer at a kitchen or something. Quite often that comes with a meal. I'm talking from when I was 15 years old, but the first thing I did was I signed up for a cooperative education program that put me in a kitchen at a local restaurant and the food services program in the high school I went to. So I was eating at least twice a day for free in the classes that I was in. That's just a student hack. But there are ways in even the adult reality to find healthy alternatives in order to eat healthily and, pretty much on the cheap. And from what Diana was saying too about how you reset everything when you do fast, you also shrink your stomach. And I know, like, oh, that's great, but you require less food. You don't need to fill up as much, right? If you do a solid fast and clear everything out, your stomach is going to shrink by a large amount, and it will take you a lot less to be full, so you can eat that nutritious food and still feel full.
Absolutely, and that's what you want to go for. I mean, in this case too, and I mean, and one of the biggest things too. I mean, it could be parasitic in nature. So we'll get to that in a sec. Hey, Mom. Yes, many churches offer free dinners once or twice a week. And thanks for subscribing to Don's channel. Appreciate it. That's awesome. You're spreading the love around, Mom. Thanks for that. And but no, kind of what we're saying here also as well. When it comes to it, when you look at how a lot of our culture looks at food, I mean, I know Canada is very similar to us down here in the United States as well. I mean, it's a horrible relationship, but this also feeds the parasites. I mean, eating for comfort, eating out of emotion, eating out of anger, rage baking, rage cooking, things like that. Having all of that. When it comes to this, could be feeding that parasitic influence as well. So that's where the fasting, that was the biggest thing that I noticed with fasting for me, because as a former fat kid, all right, I especially, in the very early stages of my life, when I was going through a lot of stuff, I mean, food was the drug. And you look at, I know Spinja rage bakes and rage just cooks with good character, though. I know she she's not doing it to overindulge. She's doing it to release some energy. But food also is, it's a drug. You look at processed sugars, you look at refined carbohydrates. I mean, those also contribute to the worm cycle in the brain, because it elicits a dopamine response, and a bigger dopamine response than drugs. So this is something I think, I'm praise baking today. All right, cool. We got the praise baking down. And but again, you look at these foods, they feed this cycle. They feed, you look at refined sugars, you look at refined carbohydrates, the dopamine response from this, the pleasure response. And, I was actually watching a video on the olfactory response when it comes to these habits that become addicting to us. And a lot of it has to do with hand to mouth interface. Okay, the oral fixation, hand to mouth, and the ritualistic setting of it. So when you look at how we look at food, I mean, the hand to mouth interface in that is huge, obviously. And the ritualistic setting of this as well. This is what leads to addictive behaviors. You're sitting there doing a hand to mouth behavior. You're sitting around all of these people who are eating this junk food and imbibing in this junk food as well. It's almost a ritualistic setting. So this is something I think we could hold in our awareness when it comes to breaking this as well, is understanding that there are these key factors that tie into us on a psychological level that elicit an addictive and a cyclical response within us. So what's everybody's thoughts?
Well, I agree. And I like what Don said about shrinking the stomach, because the food is one of our biggest things to deal with. Like, it's like we need to fix the children, but a lot of what we need to fix with the children is their food, and the system just completely being set up for it. Like, I'm not for any one world government or anything like that, but just like in case you're unaware, their plots are like a one world farming system. There's major havoc happening in India for it. Like, and other countries. That's just the one I always look at. And there's so much happening in the world of our food as I want to say the next phase, because they haven't even brought it to the totality of where they want to take this, because they're constantly trying to bring us ways to make our life easier. Like there's a South Park episode about it, the shots you can get. And then Raquel was telling me about it, and we weren't even talking about the South Park episode. She just brought it up separately, that there's tons of American women, I guess. I didn't know that was a thing. So maybe it's not a thing in Canada, or I just didn't know, but injecting themselves to stay skinny, but then they can still eat whatever they want. And you can be skinny and have horrible gut bacteria, just horrible.
Absolutely.
But you can still like make yourself correct. You can still fix yourself. There's always a way. And that's why fasting is the fastest way to get there. And it will shrink your stomach, because then, at least if you just do it even once, you come back with a shrunken stomach, because having an expanded stomach is no joke. Like, I was raised very strictly. So being like, I didn't have that in my childhood, but my husband did. He was that kid too. And then he went and lost it when he was a teenager. But then as we got older, so I met him and he looked fit. But then when we got older and when he went back to university, he started just gaining. And then that made me gain. And, because eating became our thing, and it became like we loved it. He was cooking and I loved it. But oh my God, he would make like pasta with tons of Alfredo sauce, deep fry. He got a deep fryer, a deep fried chicken nuggets, and like in the pasta, like he was deep frying every night. So I had to take back over the food, because like when he made it was ridiculous. But it was like, it started this relationship with food that I hadn't actually experienced before. And it can get so addicting. And then now I look at it, because like I still have this now. And it's probably because like I don't have anything else, because I quit drinking and all the other stuff that were my addictions. So now I find food is the thing I'm just constantly wrestling with. And I kind of look at it now, because you could shame and blame, right? Because we love the shame and blame cycles. And like James True, when we were talking to him, even talks about how we'll go back to our addictions. Like there's alcoholics and smokers that'll quit subconsciously, fully knowing they're going to go back, but they want that back and forth relationship, like we see like in TV, will they, won't they, but doing it with like a certain thing. So instead of shaming and blaming, I've taken it. So like if I eat ice cream or chips or a Snickers, I will honor it. Like in the way, like I don't deal with gods, because gods are the same. And with a god, you honor it, and then it gives you something. But like I take that idea and use it with my food. So like I'm honoring it. I'm loving myself, even though I'm doing this. And like I'm appreciating the comfort the food's going to bring me, but like still in full awareness, still without slipping into victim mentality. And it still holds me to a place where I've never slipped too far off the wagon of food kind of thing. Like I have like a red line, and then like I get it back on track, and like that's just the way it goes in that cycle. But that's still not like perfectly healthy. Like in this world, it's not like in Canada. I don't know if it's the same in Alberta, Dawn, but like just like you're like Kyle was saying, like fruits and vegetables and everything is no joke. And then I have kids that ruin it. Like they get it, and then like they'll take the strawberries and dump them on the floor, and just like, and it's a game, and they have picnics. Like I have to stop my kids from having picnics, because like, do you know how much that costs? And like I know they're not going to eat it. So it's like you get really policing over the food. There's so much going on where we just want, if fruits and vegetables were like affordable and that's all we could eat, and like we could afford to buy them every day because they go bad too, right? Like it would be such a different world. And I guarantee you they're putting the prices up on purpose. I have my own apple trees now. I grow my own raspberries, and I usually grow vegetables, though I haven't planted it. Oh no, wait, I did. I got tomatoes and stuff and cucumbers growing. So I always do something to produce my own food source. But I found even when you're producing your own food, it all comes at once. Name a ton of something that's only going to last so long. So I can see why people get into pickling and fermenting, which I've yet to do myself, but it's all part of this journey. Like I bought this house or my husband bought this house, planning on us being like, I want to be a homesteader. He didn't believe I would, and I didn't, but I I'm trying to. Now I'm just working on a food forest because we just got to do what we can do, because the food is such a journey. Because I can tell you, when you're eating, I've been like Mint, where my health was in order, I was working out, I was eating correctly, it was perfect, and my brain was so clear. Like ADHD, my brain was so clear. My thoughts were my own. Life was honestly weird because I was like, what? There's no like intrusive thoughts, like, because it just cleared the board. So the relief you'll get from your food, like if you're struggling spiritually, you might want to look at your food, because it is such a base of everything of us, right? It makes us, every 7 years, we're a completely new person. And every day, everything changes a little bit. And you know what I mean? So you can regrow yourself, but you're growing yourself with the food.
Absolutely. And real quick, I just want to say one thing about Kyle again. And Kyle, you might be surprised, but I'm going to agree with you on this. It's the convenience factor that really happened when it came to the food, because you have to think, you look at the late industrial revolution. This is where this all started to come into being, because now there are all these fast food places started popping up. And now the wife could take a break. You have to think the wife was always cooking food back in the day for the husband, because back in these days they were working at the factories for 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and all of that. This is really before a lot of the work practices we have came into being. And but yes, no, now the wife could take a break. She could let some steam off, because now we have microwave dinners, we have TV dinners, we have fast food. You can go to a place and get something that's already made, and as opposed to you having to put forth the effort of cooking, because you're already exhausted. You've already been working 12 hours, and this is your 7th day of working. So yes, the convenience factor was a huge thing when it came to these ultra processed foods. And it's what kind of brought them into, the American sphere, at least to this level, and I'm sure the Canadian sphere as well, because of this convenience. You didn't have to cook. Something's already made for you. Look at that. And I mean, of course, there are days too when I come home, I've had a long day at work. The last thing I want to do is cook, but this is a way too. You can fall in love with it. It's just do it anyways, man. Just enjoy it. Just put on some like cool music while you're chopping up the vegetables, like, have like some kind of cooking ritual that you do that actually, and you'll notice when you put forth this energy into your cooking and into that space, you see how much it's going to start to liven you up. But I wanted to say, I agree with you, Kyle, on this. Actually, it has a lot to do with that. Don, what are your thoughts, man, before we shift into the next topic?
While we're circling around gut health, I just want to share something that I had a guest named Stone Hobbit. She's a wonderful woman from New Zealand. She is very much into this type of diet and this type of gut health. And one of the things that she explained to me is, as much as you possibly can, if you can use utensils that are made of natural source fibers or wood or what have you, pretty much anything but metal, or using your bare hands, because our body has a priming system, right? So when you touch that metal spoon or fork to your tongue, your stomach naturally starts making the acids, preparing to basically digest metal instead of the food that you're actually about to eat, because it's tasting the metallic first, right? So you're actually messing up your own internal digestion every time you're touching your tongue with that foreign object instead of the natural substance of the food or a natural fiber, which would be much easier in the preparation of processing the food. Right. So you're sending your body into almost a panic reaction every time you touch your tongue with a metal utensil, because it's like, oh my God, I have to digest this. And it's not even preparing for the right thing. Right. It's why a lot of us in this society have so much indigestion, because our bodies are alchemically wrong in the preparation of our digestive preparation of our food.
No, I completely agree with that too. And I mean, I've seen, and this is why, I mean, even when it comes to, cooking our food, stay away from nonstick pans. For the love of God, stay. And, and I'll teach you how to cook on a stainless steel pan right now, or a ceramic pan. I'll do it for you. This will be the on-site lesson for cooking with stainless steel or ceramic. You want to stay away from Teflon. You want to know why you want to stay away from these Teflon pans? Fluoride. It's a fluorocarbon compound. And, let's not get into all the nasty effects that happen to everybody and the land surrounding Teflon factories. I mean, we're talking birth defects, infertility, the cows dying because they're drinking the water from this Teflon Teflon infected land. So yes, no, you definitely you want to go with stainless steel or you want to go with ceramic. And how do you cook with a stainless steel and ceramic pan? It's quite simple, guys. You let the pan heat up to full heat before you throw food on it. That is exactly it. How do you know the pan's at full heat? You're going to take a drop of water, you're going to toss it right in the pan, and if that water doesn't evaporate and it bounces around the pan in a little bit of a bead, then you know your pan's hot. Because I know the biggest thing everybody complains about with stainless steel and ceramic is oh, the food always sticks to the pan. No, you're just not letting your pan get hot enough before you actually put the food on it, and it will not stick. So yes, also what you cook with is a cast iron as well. Cast iron's great. You know, things that you know, don't have this nasty fluorocarbon that's involved in it. But nonetheless, we're going to shift gears into the next topic. This is something I wanted to talk about today. How we're actually causing energetic interference in the false matrix reality. And this actually has a lot to do with stepping into our power, you know, and one of the biggest things I've been starting to see very much of is we're starting to see a lot of these awakening events kind of burst forth a little bit more and more that are kind of getting people, kind of giving them the nudge to kind of look at things a little bit differently. And of course, you know, we see the pattern, you know, now it's almost as if the Invisible College and the Parasite class are losing their grip on what's going on. So they always have to rush in when one of these events happen, and they got to put their own little spin on it. They got to put their own little narrative on it, you know, just so they can kind of disengage any kind of further realizations or awareness that can occur from this. But what this shows me, guys, and I'm sure both of you sitting here can agree with what I'm going to say, is the work we're doing here is starting to have some kind of energetic interference with this false matrix reality. It seems like the narrative or these series of events that are starting to occur are not in the control anymore of the Parasite class or this Invisible College that's manufacturing this false matrix reality. It seems like now they have to come in and do cleanup in order to you know, make sure nobody starts a big group of people don't start looking in a specific direction. So I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this here, but I want to get you two's thoughts on this. I mean, do you think this is due to us and what we're doing here? I certainly feel it is. And, you know, part of this is acknowledging, at least for me, stepping into your power, that even as a single individual, you have a great amount of power to shift this reality. So, Diana, let's get your thoughts.
Well, when it comes to that, you have total power, like transurfing, changing timelines, timeline jumping, quantum jumping, so much language for it now. You could technically do it all by yourself, but to do it like that is Messiah level power. You need to believe it. So little bit by little bit, we're actually heading down a better road. And how are we doing that? By seeing them slowly fall, because that's actually the kind of thing that I was projecting. That's why you're all here. No, because that's like the kind of thing that would be the least violent, because we can't just blow it all up, or they'll literally blow up and that'll be catastrophic for us. Like things like that were supposed to happen, like California and the earthquakes, that none of that's happening technically. It should have actually, a lot of it already happened by now, but we are keeping our trajectory higher. And I think the way we're seeing it play out is because we can believe it. We will believe, like learning that they were not just one, but multiple theys, right? Even if there is a top of top they, the other theys are all fighting. The other theys are all panicking because things have been stirred. And a lot of that is thanks to your Trump and Elon Musk and just the force that they put out there of stirring. They are not necessarily good, though. They are chaos magicians, and they are stirring the pot. And whenever you're dealing with chaos, you're actually dealing with a perfect moment of change. So let's say Trump threw some magic in the universe because he might have been trying to gear it whatever way he wanted. It doesn't matter, because with that kind of magic, he's now opened the portal, and we can all throw our 2 cents in of what we want to bring, like a magic portal, literally birthing into creation of what we can truly believe. So however good we can see this going, it's going to go that way, because that's just the way it's got to be. That's part of staying in your power, and why a high reason to stay in your power. If you ever have poor me thoughts, I don't matter. Actually, you do. And the only reason you're still alive today is because at some point a part of you is going to reach back and pull you up. That's what happened to each of us here. A part of us from now reached back, and then even higher and higher and higher, because it never stops, reach back and found you. Like, there's rumors that like the people we see die didn't actually die in their own optimal timeline. We just see the variance because that's just how complicated timelines are. So we're really dealing with a powerful point of time right now because of the chaos magic portal that is opened in time. So choose your future wisely. You can really choose. And I realistically can see that they're going to squabble and throw themselves down on the ground. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's just what came out.
No worries, Don. How do you feel about us running energetic interference on the false matrix reality right now?
I think whether it's on the micro or the macro, like, energy is absolutely one of the most contagious things in this reality, and what you deliberately project is going to affect those that you interact with, right? You know, I've mentioned it a couple of times. Have you ever walked into a room and like people just automatically smile at you, or you walk into a room and you can just tell the guy across the room is like, F that guy, I don't like him. Like, you just have an energy about you, and we're projecting this into reality. Right. So if you're positively projecting an emotional frequency that is better on the micro, then it is going to affect the macro. And with the circumstances that you're talking about, Stephen, like the spiritual awakening and what we're trying to bring to the forefront of understanding, I absolutely do think it's happening. And all you have to do is look at how en masse conspiracy theories are being proven to be fact, right? Like, we are having that effect on the macro from our little micro church sessions, from our little podcast, from our conversations, because it's making people talk, right? Look how many subscribers you and I have gotten over the last year, right? That alone says something. Right? Like, I'm heading for 500, you're heading for 400. Like, your Rumble is like eclipses mine. Diana has over 1,000. Like, these are the conversations people are listening to now, and they go and tell people what we're saying, right? So that trickles out in a branch effect. Like, we are the I don't have another word for it. We are the energetically positive virus that is going to fuck the system.
Absolutely. Well, and I remember on my first episode, actually the first time Diana actually had me on her show, I talked about how we're the white blood cells for what's going on right now. And absolutely, yes. And this is actually, you two highlighted this in an amazing way. You highlighted on how our internal work actually bursts forth and changes the collective sphere. It does. The more that you heal yourself and the deeper you get down to the nitty gritty of your true divine nature and the conscious nature of this reality, and the more you actually realize it. So, this is one thing I'm going to throw in, and realization truly is the key to all of this, the realization and the remembrance, because you can consciously know something, you can consciously understand something, but until you realize it and remember it at a soul level, all you're doing is holding information that's yet to be integrated. So this is really, in all honesty, because when we have these realizations and these remembrances, it permeates the collective consciousness. It now sends forth a sequence, almost an energetic code that unlocks this throughout this entire consciousness stream that humanity shares. And now you have burst forth into something that can now be accessible for others to grab onto. You're leaving your own kind of unique energetic imprint here into humanity when you do this internal work and you have these realizations and these remembrances. So this is also stepping into your power and realizing the power that you have is that by you doing this, you're shifting humanity just as one person, and just as a single solo human being. And this is the power that you truly have. And this is something that you must sharpen every single day. I've always said that the biggest weapon that we have right now in these times during this spiritual war is our divine spark. And this divine spark should be sharpened every single day. And through sharpening your divine spark, you are opening it up into the human collective consciousness stream for others to grab onto your energetic imprint and your realizations and to integrate them within themselves. And this is a beautiful thing, guys. And this is why you should never second guess yourself on what you do. And yes, we know the inner work is down and dirty. I went through something just recently that had me in my abyss for a good 3 days. Okay. Like, you know, that it's never fun, you know, it's never great, but look at what you're doing when you do this, guys. You're shifting humanity. You alone, you are shifting humanity. So don't forget that. Okay. And always realize that this is also part of stepping into your power. Every time you improve yourself, every time you heal yourself, every time you evolve a little bit further, you're shifting it for the entire course of humanity. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, completely agree. And that was my original mission for YouTube, period. Like there was the raw, and A Course in Miracles said teach, learn. But then there was the fact that I knew that like this is a lot to do alone as me, but I knew I could do it. Like technically, there's knowing you can do it alone technically, but then there's magically understanding that the more people that do the same thing, the easier that actually is going to be for me. So, and I've always been like a corner cutter. So honestly, like starting my YouTube and teaching everybody how to better their lives in ways I had already proven with myself, because you can read as much as you want about this, but if you are not implementing it into your life, you're doing something because you're subconsciously programming yourself that you are doing, and that's not nothing. So that's, you know, never blame and shame, but until you start acting it out, that's when you're really going to see the difference in your life. And then that's creating a ripple. If it's a ripple in your life, it's a continuous ripple. Like you see this, the stone in the water, that's exactly how the etheric works. The etheric is water. We are waves in the water. Our waves weave together the fabric of reality. Like that's not nothing. That's huge. And exactly what Don was saying and Stephen earlier, like we are a program for this world, especially like the star seeds. Because you could say like original humanity itself had the potential to be good, but the program itself, and it's funny because it got corrupted, but it's not corrupted for the reason they were brainwashed to think. It's corrupted because they were brainwashed to think that. Inversion, hello people, inverted reality. That is the fall, is their lie. Like that's one thing that's coming to me now. And it's like, you know, and then there's just that continuous gnosis, like Stephen was saying. Like the fact that the Romans never being pagans. They never stopped being magicians. They adopted, and I knew this, but then, you know, I just didn't realize that they did it so consciously. I knew that they adopted Christianity because it was picking up on its own, the true Christianity that Jesus was teaching, but his apostles were already fighting anyways. There's a good chance it might have actually burnt out. I don't know. Jesus was very powerful, but they weren't exactly banging it out anyways. But it was spreading. But obviously the Roman Empire taking it over and forcing everyone to do it, that was a pretty big deal. So what they did there, though, is lock everybody down in a control matrix. That right there was a control matrix. And then so you had the Romans that knew the truth. You had the Kabbalist knowing Jews, because not all Jews know the Kabbalah, but you know, the ones that did, and then they would have at least instructed their family in the correct way. They knew the true information, right? That doesn't mean they're doing everything correctly on any of the fronts. It just means they knew. And then you can assume the British Empire knew. The Americans that create George Washington and all the Masons that created America knew the truth. But guess what? Now you know the truth that has made the winners win and the losers lose is out of the box. You know the truth, right? So now what is there to do except clean up the self and watch the ripples of that feed the earth and feed back and create a stronger organic positive matrix. I think we already have one going though. Like we've already done it. It's already happened. That's probably what shielded us from a lot of the catastrophic events that have meant to have happened. And you could say some still have because they have, and that's unfortunate, but there was actually supposed to be a ton more cited over multiple sources. So either they were trying to feed us a false program that we just didn't pick up, so go us there, or we changed reality, which I definitely think we changed reality there, especially with California. Because if you think like, man, that makes so much sense that should have happened. It was supposed to be almost gone by now. And that could have been a good thing, because I think that was actually going to be the earth trying to rid a good health section off of itself. But the fact that it didn't have to do that says a lot about what we're just energetically having happen. Like maybe Me Too was the earthquake that didn't physically end up happening, because we're creating ripples, one huge step at a time. With each reveal that comes to us, it creates a ripple. And then what we do with the information further strengthens the ripple, and it's just a continuous process.
Love it. Don, what are your thoughts?
I totally agree. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase a quote that I've heard before, and it's the science of spirituality is hidden in the quantum realm, right? And when you start to understand the material science aspects of what we're actually talking about here, right, on the quantum level, everything in this reality does function on frequency, vibration, and resonance, right? So when you're projecting the positive resonance into the molecular structure of the reality that surrounds you, you are going to inherently change it by the frequency that you're projecting. So it elevates. Like if you look at the basics of quantum physics, it works on frequency hitting the biomolecular construct of the things around it, right? That is how the quantum basically works. When you're the one projecting the frequency, you're the thing that's controlling the reality, right? So we are absolutely, you've used the little light beacons, I believe is the term. We're 1,000 little light posts, right? It's absolutely correct. We're emanating frequency, we're changing reality, and that's the purpose of us being here. The ones that are coming to these understandings and the gnoses that we're receiving are the ones that are going to elevate the biomolecular frequency of this reality. We are literally the ascension in itself, right? We're going to raise the frequency of everything around us to elevate it. That's as simply as I could explain it.
Absolutely. And that's also, I mean, yeah, I mean, we talk about Hermeticism so much. That's one of the principles of Hermeticism, is that our mental faculties interact with this perceived physical experience. So what you give is what you get. I mean, we've all heard this saying as we were growing up, you know, like what you give is what you get. What you put into it is what you get back, right?
That's not what I heard.
So if you're not, yeah, but
I heard life's a bitch when you die.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I've heard this quite a bit also, you know, growing up. But it is. I mean, it's exactly what you think of it. I mean, it's a simple thing that showcases exactly what we're talking about right here. Is you know, we are putting forth this energetic code, this energetic sequence. Like you said, we are the Ascension programming. We ultimately are. We are these glitches that were sent here, whether it be through being a star seed, an angel seed, or, you know, light work, or whatever it may be. We are these energetic glitches that have been sent here. Jason, I swear to God, he always comes in when I'm like trying to say something serious. He's great though. He's great, but not nonetheless, we are the glitches that have been sent here, you know, and this is, you know, even what Diana's saying, the ripple in the puddle, the all is mind is a lot like water, you know, that imprint. I mean, we even kind of go into, you know, with Dr. Masaru Emoto, imprinting on water. So we do see how very similar, you know, water and the all are. So, you know, and you have to remember that we are sitting here as these glitches that are rewriting this programming in this perceived external experience that we're all sharing and mutually co-creating at the same time as well. So this is, take your part in this, you know, be in this, you know, sometimes we regurgitate the same things over and over again, but because it really bears repeating, is be the change you want to see in this world. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, do you want to step into the new earth frequency? Then start being that new earth frequency. Do you want to step into this new way of being? Then yes, start being this new way of being. Start implementing it now at this level, because through the implementation and the integration of this energetic concept, this energetic coding that lives naturally within us, you are changing the entire collective sphere. This is the important job that we have to do here. Yes. Here we go. We are, Sam just kind of came out and said this, we are the virus that is the Matrix medicine. Yes, we're our own kind of vaccine, I guess you could say, but not that kind of vaccine, but that a good kind of vaccine, if there is ever a truly good vaccine.
It's bad to them though. It is bad to them.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we are the glitches, guys, and that's the thing we have to hold in our awareness, because there are so much that's going to attack you every day to make you forget this. Okay, and one of the biggest things I see it on an energetic front too. There's energies out there that don't want you to do this. They don't want you to have these realizations. You don't. So as you step deeper into this, as you continue to elevate yourself, the number one thing too, I'm going to say as well, based on something I just learned that happened to me a few days ago, is ultimately step up your discernment, your personal agency, your personal sovereignty, with what you're receiving as well. And also a little bit of protection goes a long way when it comes to this as well, guys. Make sure you're always grounded. Make sure you understand that your thoughts are not your own, and you're picking with thoughts that you choose to buy into in this case, because as you continuously evolve and you continuously grow, again, because of how powerful you are, you're causing these ripples in this gigantic ocean of consciousness that is the collective consciousness of humanity. And humans are not going to be the only ones that can pick up on these ripples that you're making, so definitely keep that in mind. And what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, completely agree. Everything is energy, and that the all is mind, and it comes from that. Like, do this, you can feel it. Like, this is water as well. Everything is water because everything is energy, and water is just the thick form of it. Everything is energy, and then it starts to take shape, and those shapes make the different etheric prints that are souls before they're even ever atoms. And it just grows from there, and it's all emanating out of the all is mind. All of it is mind. And everybody has actually the power to create. Every creature, I don't believe that no creature has the power. And, oh, this rock can't create. Nope, not this guy. Or even the lizards. Oh, nope, they can't create because they did this. Or the grays, they can't create because they did this. Yes, they can. Yes, they 100% can. But what they need to do is connect to their divine spark. And I also hear stories of they can't. I don't believe I can't. But what I do believe is that the human was put with emotions. Like, we have a strong emotional center, and I can buy, because I can resonate with it. I can buy that other species don't have the same emotional layers that we do. I think a lot of us that are divergent can kind of feel into that, because I have moments where I freeze and I lose my emotions, and not in a bad way. I've just turned robot, right? But the truth is that I have an emotional, and this is why you can get like unbalanced, right? Like, because you need to learn to just allow the emotions at all point in time. And I think that autistic divergent thing allows one to notice the emotions as their own visceral entity, because emotions are alive as well. They come and go out of us. What we have is a center to receive them. And as empaths, we can feel others' emotions. We can feel the earth's emotions. We can feel everything's emotion. So when it comes to our personal power, we want to make sure we are aligned so that we can be proper filters for these emotions that come through us, that also fuel us to create. Because why we are more powerful creators is because when you take that energy that's everything, and like that prima materia, I think I said that right, and you take the emotions and you just get into that space of creation, that 0 point energy zone, but then also start to allow in the motions behind it, behind your manifestations. That's how you make manifest instantly. And I think everything has that ability, but what I think it is that the emotional center is like a hack for us. It's a shortcut into creation. And other creatures even have it better. Like when you're fifth dimensional and you're instantly creating whatever you want, like they have it under a different system. But another way we're unique is we have this, plus we're physical. So like there's such a combination smorgasbord of the human that makes this why we're so complex and dramatic, and we have our stories and our archetypes, and we were a hub for tons and tons of streams. And alignment is so key in that personal power, because you are in for a large journey, but you are a creator being and you can absolutely do it. And the entities that tell you otherwise are like 1,000,000,000 to 1. Like there's like 1,000,000,000,000 of them to 1 of you. And they all have different agendas and different things they'll do to trip you up, and whatever it is, it doesn't even matter. Because when you're aligned and you learn to listen to your own sovereign discerning voice, you can start to feel out. And especially what you'll at least be able to do, what I can promise you this, is get rid of all the lowest of the ones. They're gone. Now I have ones that are like, I don't even know if they're ones. They're just like, they're almost just beings that are not the best idea. So it's not even that, maniacally demonic. It's just like, that wasn't the best idea, guy. I should have listened listen to this entity because like I can hear different information. And when it's in the fullest of alignment, it has like a glow and a spark. And I know this, but our ego can get us to pick different ideas. But this goes into lower ideas. Like, so you can just, again, always higher, higher, higher. It's not low to high. It's like continuous progression in the things you're dealing with change, but you grow more powerful when you stay in awareness. So just keep going with the journey because it never stops. You never stop learning and you never stop getting better, and you never stop getting better at creating a better life for yourself and the whole world because it's connected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to ignore the voices that tell us to eat those potato chips. That's not a great idea. Exactly. Don, what are your thoughts, man, before we close out?
I would say the best advice I can give is stay in your authentic intention. And I'm going to paraphrase my guest from last night, Lee, and, silence the noise of society around you and create from your heart, because that was his message last night. And this man is a walking, talking freaking miracle. So if anybody knows about manifesting his own reality, it's somebody that was supposed to be dead 25 years ago, right? Like he's been manifesting for the last 3 decades almost, but he does it from a place of pure intention and from what his heart truly desires, in a sense that it will not negatively affect anybody else's reality, just provide a more positive one for him. And it's worked for him for almost 3 decades. So absolutely stay in your authentic intention and manifest from your heart.
Absolutely. And I'm going to agree with Sam on that. He's doing things he's not. He's channeling into. I don't know if he's completely aware of what he's channeling. He's doing a great job of it. I don't know if he's aware of what he's completely channeling into, but he is. He's using his will as a weapon. That's the best way I can describe it, man. And that's what we have to step into that as well, guys. I know we do it here on this panel. We use our will as a weapon, but everybody out there who's listening, everybody out there who's watching at this point in time, guys, remember your will is a weapon. It can be used as a jackhammer to create this world, to demo the old world and create the new. And remember that love also is a force and a power that can also transmute the very physical existence that's in front of us. And yes, guys, silence that noise. Number one, that's what we talked about with Lee last night. Silence that interference. Go outside, put your feet in the earth, look at the sun. Eat good, clean, healthy food. Fill your mind with good things. Okay, that's going to contribute to your power. That's going to contribute to your growth. That's going to contribute to your evolution. And as Diana was saying too, I think we're off the disaster timeline as well for the most part. But this is why they keep trying to bring it back. They want you to be on the disaster timeline. They want that. So
they just want us scared, and they want us scared. They want us perpetually scared. Yeah.
State of mesmerized terror. That's exactly what they want us in, a state of because then our Dukkha, aka our Loosh, is up for grabs. They can have as much as they want.
It opens our field.
Absolutely, guys. So do not make yourself an all-you-can-eat buffet. Don't do that. Stay grounded. Always exercise that personal agency, that personal sovereignty, your discernment, your divine spark. Like I said, is your greatest weapon in the spiritual warfare that we are undergoing right now. Remember to sharpen it every single day. And how do we sharpen it every single day? There are many ways. You can sit down, you can meditate, you can have some kind of gratefulness ritual. You can have if you can make that connection with the divine in just 60 fucking seconds, you have done it, my friend. It does not have to be something that's long and drawn out. This is how you sharpen this sword every single day. And that's going to be my leaving comment to everybody here. Make sure you sharpen that divine spark every single day and cherish that and be grateful, because like I've said before on the show, guys, we've stepped into knowing here, and this is something that we should cherish and we should be grateful for, because most people step into that knowing when they leave the earth plane. We've already stepped into it here, so we're doing big things and we're doing great things, and never forget that. Alrighty, guys. Thanks again for joining us for another Church of True Christ Sunday sermon. We got the mushroom. That's hitting close to home right now. But nonetheless, guys, thank you again for joining us. We will be back next Sunday, of course, the usual time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And other than that, thanks for joining us, guys. Go outside, get some sunshine, stick those bare feet in the ground, shoot. Go rip an apple off a tree and bite into it right then and there, because we know that's where the good stuff is. Have a good one, everybody.